So today we checking out Baal. I don't know anybody know about him. I'm like coming here fully like blank. I don't really know what he's truly about. The only thing I know is Baal is the name of the goat god and what would you call it? The earth worshippers, the people that worship the earth are the pagans. The pagans? I think Baal is a pagan god. It's kind of weird that it became demonic, but yeah, so we about to check it out. Baal, why nobody told you that David worshipped him? Who's David? King David? I don't know. We about to check it out.
The Israelites were not confused and did not sin by worshipping Baal.
Baal?
Did you know that? Join us, and we will uncover it together. The meaning of the name Baal in Canaanite is Lord.
Canaanite?
Over 3,000
So I might be completely wrong. I don't even know what I'm talking about then.
The nickname Baal permanently became associated with Hadad, the Canaanite storm god. Baal-Hadad, the main god in Canaan, was revered as a universal deity who ruled.
I guess I was talking on my ass, huh? I take back everything I was talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Both heaven and earth. In his role as the storm god, Baal is revered as the one who answers the wind and brings the rain. As such, he holds the responsibility for the fertility of humans, animals, plants, and the world as a whole. The statue of Baal is depicted with one hand holding lightning, while the other hand protects his head adorned with horns, symbolizing fertility. Under his feet, he treads on water.
Most people have no clue that in 2023, the best way to make money on Amazon
is
not with physical products.
Cut it out.
One recurring theme in the Bible is the belief in Baal by the Israelites and the kings of Israel. They are not confused between God and Baal, and the reason behind this will become clear later on.
So Baal,
similar to other gods,
are we talking about the same one then?
Baal was also perceived as possessing human qualities.
Okay.
In the Bible, he is described as engaging in various activities such as eating, sleeping, conversing with gods and men, hunting, and much more. This human description is also found in the words of Elijah, who taunts the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel and urges them to raise their voices and call upon Baal.
Yeah, so
cry aloud.
So was that right? The Baal is the god with the goat horns, right? So I wasn't completely talking on my ass. It was kind of right, but I guess the region of what I was talking about in the mythology was completely wrong. But I'm gonna go with it. I guess we're talking about the same guy, so I'm not gonna really go too far off. You get me?
For he is a god. Either he is musing, or he is relieving himself, or he is on a journey, or perhaps he is asleep and must be awakened. 1 Kings 18 verse 27. According to the Canaanite myth, Baal is portrayed as the son of El, the father of the gods. When the old man ascended to godhood, and it was time for him to relinquish his leadership of the gods, a war erupted between his sons, Baal and Mut, as they vied for the inheritance of his throne. Mut ruled over the realm of the dead and desired to extend its dominion to the world.
Sounds kind of like Anubis.
Baal was supported by his sister Anat and his mother Asherah. Even in Mut, his brother, who served as a minister of the sea and a judge of a river, continued to support Baal. The meaning of the name Mut in Hebrew is death. A lengthy war unfolded between the two factions, during which Baal and Anat had to conquer a range of formidable sea creatures, including crocodiles, a barred snake whale, and a spiny snake whale. The Bible...
So where this is going, it's really not bad, because technically he is a god. He's a sibling of the other gods of like Anaki. I think, right? Anaki and Enel. So he's their sibling because their father is El, which means like the. That's like Spanish. I'm going off tangent.
Allusions to this tremendous war,
trying to piece it all together. My bad.
As a struggle between God and the sea monsters. In that day, the Lord will punish with his sword, his fierce, great and powerful sword, Leviathan the gliding serpent, Leviathan the coiling serpent. He will slay the monster of the sea. Isaiah 27 verse 1. The prophet vividly describes the great war that took place in the days of Genesis, and prophesies its return in the last days, a battle between God and the sea monsters. The Psalms beautifully praise the power of God, who bravely fought against these sea monsters and emerged victorious, completely defeating them. It was you who split open the sea by your power, you broke the heads of the monster in the waters. Psalm 74 verse 13.
And kind of like Moses, I believe, who split the sea. Is that kind of like the same similar thing?
Allies, Baal made the decision to construct a truly magnificent palace atop the northern mountain. Baal ordered him to build a windowless palace, perhaps out of fear of his deceased brother, who might climb through a window and sneak into the palace. The Bible also describes the ascension of Death/Mutt through the window. Death has climbed in through our windows and has entered our fortresses. Jeremiah 9 verse 21. Finally, a window was built in the palace, allowing Baal's daughters to exert their power and influence on the world. However, the battle for the leadership of the gods is far from over. At some point during the war, Baal met its demise at the hands of Death. The world slowly
what I'm about to say kind of makes sense to me. Is the war of the gods really over? Because it feel like it only transformed from local cities to regions to actual countries and governments. The heads of governments, we don't know their full lineage. What I hear is a lot of the people that are leaders of the world are actually distant relatives. But at the same time, aren't we all? But they still have like the God mentality because they lead a whole region, a whole army of people. So the God mentality is still there. So it could be that the war is still going on. I don't know.
Began to dry up without rain and dew. Then the gods came to realize the essence of Baal's rule over the world. The powerful goddess Anat descended to the underworld, fearlessly battled death, and successfully resurrected Baal. As a result, Baal ascended to reign over both gods and men. The cult of Baal bore similarities to the other cults in Canaan. Humans built altars and temples in his honor, sacrificed to him, and even named their children after him, such as Ethbaal and Jerubbaal. They believed in his power and called on him for help. According to the account in 1 Kings 18, it seems that the priests of Baal and his prophets engaged in dancing around the altar, prophesying out of ecstasy by spewing blood, and calling upon their god to demonstrate his power to the onlookers. So they took the bull given them and prepared it. Then they called on the name of Baal from morning till noon. Baal, answer us, they shouted.
I want to read this faster.
But there was no response, no one answered. And they danced around the altar they had made. Midday passed, and they continued their frantic prophesying until the time for the evening sacrifice. But there was no response, no one answered, no one paid attention. 1 Kings 18 verses 26 and 29. According to the Bible, the worship of Baal began among the Israelites during their time in the desert. The Israelites joined the daughters of Moab and worshipped Baal Peor together.
Moab. Okay, I'm not going to keep pausing. I'm going to let it run through in a second. But I feel like most of history probably would be a lot easier to understand if we knew the true names of each person. I don't know, because of the battle of Babylon, something like that. Babel. When we split our languages to communicate and moved it across different regions. But if we had one language, we would know the true names and probably the true history, because everybody has a different name for the same person. So that's kind of confusing. So we're telling the same story, but with different names. So it kind of makes it seem like it's a different story. It's rewriting, remastering history. It's weird. But one day we're probably going to be very close with the internet and emojis, like hieroglyphs. Emojis and hieroglyphs are kind of the same. It's like a picture, word. And we're probably going to have a true language or universal language that everybody can communicate with, because we all see the same things with water, trees, birds, and all that. It's just we have to communicate better. Really, that's what every problem in the world is communication. That's what I'm picking up. You picking up what I'm putting down?
Moses issued a command to the judges of Israel. So Moses said to Israel's judges, each of you must put to death those of your people who have yoked themselves to the Baal of Peor. Numbers 25:5. As a consequence of worship for Baal, God brought upon the people a devastating plague, resulting in the loss of 24,000 lives.
Dang.
During the occupation and settlement in Canaan, certain aspects of Canaanite worship were adopted and integrated into the worship of God. Living under the subjugation of the Canaanite population led many Israelites to adopt their worship practices. We can see evidence of this in the descriptions of the period of the judges. For instance, Yosh, the father of the judge Gideon, is named after God. Yosh equals Yehosh, yet there is an altar to Baal in his house. Additionally, Gideon himself is also known as Jerubbaal. During the reign of Gideon, the people worshipped Baal. No sooner had Gideon died than the Israelites again prostituted themselves to the Baals. They set up Baal-Berith as their god. Judges 8 verse 33. During the royal period, particularly in the days of King Ahab of Israel, the cult of Baal spread throughout Israel. This influence can be attributed to Jezebel, Ahab's wife and the daughter of Ethbaal, the king of Sidon. According to 1 Kings 18,
because I know the word Jezebel,
the prophet offered to settle the question of the true God's identity, whether it was God or Baal, through a confrontation. In God's name, Elijah declared a
from what I just picked up,
wife and the daughter of Ethbaal, the king of Sidon.
It's kind of weird. They're using God and Baal. Y'all probably get mad how I'm saying it, but what I'm saying is they're using God and Baal when they're kind of from the same family, right? Or did I get that wrong? It's like calling somebody president and calling his nephew or brother just by their name. So it's kind of seeming like the word God here is kind of like a title instead of just creator or all-knowing, right?
According to 1 Kings 18,
or
Elijah the prophet
did I pick that up wrong?
To settle the question of the true God's identity, whether it was God or Baal, through a confrontation. In God's name, Elijah declared a drought and proclaimed that there would be no rain in Israel from the moment of his declaration. Baal, the god of rain and fertility, needed to demonstrate his existence by bringing down rain. After nearly 3 years of drought, the people came to the realization that God is indeed God. Elijah gathered the prophets of Baal, along with the people, on Mount Carmel. With great conviction, he denounced the combination of Baal worship with the worship of God. Elijah went before the people and said, "How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him, but if Baal is God, follow him."
So you think you know Wix, but do you really? First up, we've got Shake.
I don't realize what Lord actually means. Lord is like ownership, Lord of land, property owner.
Worship of Baal escalated to the point of
So is the name of God Lord?
God's prophets. Jehu, son of Jehoshaphat, who succeeded.
Is that his true name? Hey man, am I tripping? Because we create words out of other things too, like apple. Apple's an object, so I'm not comparing God to Apple. But if God's true name is Lord, that kind of makes sense, because lords are landowners and property owners, which kind of becomes the God of that land. So we're kind of mimicking that. You feel me? You get what I'm saying? I'm not trying to like
successfully removed the house of Ahab from power, worked tirelessly to eradicate the worship of Baal from Israel. However, even 100 years later, the prophets of Israel continued to voice their opposition to the merging of Baal worship with the worship of God. The worship of Baal was also prevalent in different periods within the kingdom of Judah. According to the Bible, during the reign of Athaliah, a temple was built for Baal. However, this temple was later destroyed during the reign of her grandson, Josiah.
Okay.
During the days of Manasseh, son of Hezekiah, the worship of Baal made a comeback and thrived. Altars were built, priests were appointed, and within the temple, objects and vessels for the worship of Baal and Asherah were placed. In a single moment, a great mystery emerges among the people of Israel, surrounding the calculations of Baal. Depth study of the various books of the Bible, along with extra-biblical evidence, reveals a completely different picture from the one that the later editors of the Bible attempted to create. The editors of the Bible made significant efforts, which can be considered successful, to reshape the history of the people of Israel and create a distorted portrayal. They desired to depict the worship of Baal as an immoral practice since ancient times, implying that only the truly wicked and misguided engaged in such worship.
They demonized.
However, the reality was significantly different and rather complex. Moreover, the worship of Baal was not perceived by the people as idolatry. They believed that Baal was the same as Jehovah, the God of Israel. Yes, we were also horrified to discover this explanation. It is the same entity.
I kind of get this. You know what demonizing means? It's putting the worst characteristics on one place. So you demonize, like weaponize, you demonize a certain person with the worst traits that you can think of. So the next person that hears about his name only hears about the demonized names, words that everybody put on him. So Baal could have been, just the same as Jehovah. But people didn't like him, so they demonized his name. So anybody that comes in contact with his name in the future probably this thinks of the worst when everybody has their flaws. You feel me?
Worship of Baal is the worship of God for everything and anything. It is not about two gods, but one God. This
Still a
is
source. It's always a source. I think the source is God.
Bible that God uses, and today he is referred to as Lord.
Okay.
In Hebrew, the word Lord is synonymous with Baal.
Oh,
there are
God,
various
basically.
clues in several places in the Bible that point to the identity between Yahweh and Baal. For example, David, after he became the king over the tribes of Israel.
Okay.
When the Philistines heard that David had been anointed king over Israel, they went up in full force to search for him, but David heard about it and went down to the stronghold. Now the Philistines had come and spread out in the valley of Rephaim, so David inquired of the Lord, "Shall I go and attack the Philistines? Will you deliver them into my hands?" The Lord answered him, "Go, for I will surely deliver the Philistines into your hands."
My son is Braxton, and
he was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And they said,
come on, man. Come on. I don't want to get sad right now.
So David went to Baal Perazim, and there he defeated them. He said, "As waters break out, the Lord has broken out against my enemies before me." So that place was called Baal Perazim.
I don't know if I'm gonna keep that in.
The Philistines abandoned their idols there, and David and his men carried them off. 2 Samuel 5 verses 17 to 21. After the victory in battle, David triumphantly called out the name of the battlefield, Baal Perazim.
Baal Perazim? What does that mean?
Who was chosen by God, show such great kindness and not just a little insolence, and dedicate the victory to Baal? Should we consider the possibility that, in David's eyes, Baal and God are one and the same?
David's eyes.
Could it be that these names are synonymous? Another verse that identifies God with Baal can be found in the book of Hosea. In that day,
there's a lot of books you gotta read. Hosea.
You will call me my husband, you will no longer call me my master. I will remove the names of the Baals from her lips, no longer will their names be invoked. Hosea 2 verses 16 to 17. God is referred to as Baal, but in the future, he will be called my husband, symbolizing the deep connection between Israel and their God. Another parallel between God and Baal,
like a marriage with the
eyes of the people, can be found.
So how I interpreted that is that Baal or God, I keep changing the name. Baal, God, is married, which is to the Israelites. He is, they're like unanimous. I don't know. I'm not even gonna say that.
Found in the story of Elijah in Carmel. In Elijah's words to the people, the identity between Baal and Jehovah is clearly emphasized. Elijah went before the people and said, "How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him, but if Baal is God, follow him." 1 Kings 18 verse 21. The study of names further supports the recognition of Baal as a legitimate deity among the people of Israel. Both personal names and place names. In both the Bible and outside of it, there are many names that include the element Baal. Thus, the son of King Saul. Ne was the father of Kish, Kish the father of Saul, and Saul the father of Jonathan, Malchishua, Abinadab, and Eshbal.
That's
First
I never even heard some of those names.
33. Shaul's grandson is also named after the husband. The son of Jonathan, Merib-Baal, who was the father of Micah. 1 Chronicles 9 verse 40. Whereas Shaul's grandfather's brother is simply called Baal. And his firstborn son was Abdon, followed by Zur.
I think
Kish,
I got pretty
Baal,
much the entire
Nadab.
gist of this. It's basically saying that the same person, really.
Surprisingly, even David's son was named after the Baal. Elishama, Beliada, and Eliphalet. 1 Chronicles 14 verse 7. One of the most prominent examples is Gideon. So because Gideon broke down Baal's altar, they gave him the name Jerubbaal that day, saying, "Let Baal contend with him." Judges 6 verse 32. This verse explains the significance of one of Israel's saviors being named after Baal. Gideon is an alternative name given to him by the editor of the book of Judges in order to distance Baal from Israel. During the reign of Josiah, the grandson of Manasseh, a thorough ritual reform was implemented. As part of this reform, every trace and recollection of Baal worship was completely eradicated. The king ordered Hilkiah the high priest, the priests next in rank and the doorkeepers to remove from the temple of the Lord all the articles made for Baal and Asherah and all the starry hosts. He burned them outside Jerusalem in the fields of the Kidron Valley and took the ashes to Bethel. He did away with the idolatrous priests appointed by the kings of Judah to burn incense on the high places of the towns of Judah and on those around Jerusalem, those who burned incense to Baal, to the sun and moon, to the constellations and to all the starry hosts.
Okay.
2 Kings 23 verses 4 to
Alright,
5.
how far am I got left?
Josiah, who appeared to be the only one who understood the significance, carried out the Reformation that resulted in the decline of faith in Baal. The only one who understood the meaning of the words, "You shall not create any statues or images." Consequently, worship of Baal stopped existing with the Babylonian exile. And no more mentioned again in the Bible. We hope you learned something new today.
Alright.
If you did
you know that you can...
I think that's a lot of information to take in, and he was just reading all verses. Okay. Baal, Jehovah, Josiah. That's a lot of names. But pretty much in Israel, Baal is kind of like synchronized with the word God. Since, yeah, that's what I got. If y'all got any other things you want me to watch, let me know. My God.